It's Thursday, May 24, 2018, and it is time for Easy Gamer. And what are we going to talk about today? Call of Duty is getting rid of the single-player campaign. Blasphemy. How dare you? How dare you? I'm going to sit here and hold my breath until they put it back in. Okay, no, I don't care. Okay, here's a problem. Think of how many people play Call of Duty. And out of all those people that play Call of Duty, think of how many of them actually play the single player campaign. Now, I know a lot of people that play Call of Duty. They might play the single player campaign for about 15 minutes. You know, just for shucks and grins. They're not really looking to... That's not why they play Call of Duty. Most people now that play Call of Duty play it for the online mode, the multiplayer. So Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is not going to have a single player campaign. Now, I'm a guy, I don't play games online. I don't play with other people. I'm from that old school generation where you didn't play video games online. I played video games by myself or in the same room with other friends. Now, I will play like Grand Theft Auto online with friends and things like that. But I'm definitely not a competitive multiplayer guy. I mean, I'm terrible at games, so... I mean, if you want an easy kill, I'm the guy, because I'm the one that sits there with like 1 kill and 17 deaths. It's like, I still remember playing a Call of Duty zombie mode where I was just getting flustered with it. I got myself into a crouch, and I couldn't get out of the crouch because I didn't know the controls well enough, and I'm trying to shoot up at a window with my poor... person trying to shoot at a window up high enough to shoot the zombie that's trying to come through it. Not doing a good job of protecting the window as my character is laying on the ground going, stand me up, stand me up. It's like, I want to, but I can't. So I don't play a lot of that. So a lot of people are kind of up in arms that Call of Duty is getting rid of the single player campaign. I'm going to pay $60 for multiplayer only? Jerks. Why? You don't play the single-player campaign. There are very few people that play the single-player campaign. A lot of those people that play the single-player campaign all the way through, probably a good portion of them don't even play the multiplayer. They just want to play the single-player. But unfortunately, there's not enough of them driving the business. But this is what Call of Duty is going to find out. This is what Activision, I think this is Treyarch that's working on this game. This is what they're going to find out. Is this going to negatively affect their sales? And I think they're expecting it to negatively affect their sales, but by how much? Black Ops, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is going to have, it's going to have a battle royal mode. I mean, let's face it, most online games now are trying to put one together. Will they be able to do it better than Fortnite? I don't know. It looks like Fortnite's pretty much a juggernaut right now. So, but here's the thing. If Activision needs to make more money, if they spend a lot of money to create a single player campaign, and don't kid yourselves, it costs millions of dollars to put together that single player campaign that maybe not very many people are playing. Now, let's say you sell the game to 1 million people. Now, I know Call of Duty sells more than 1 million copies, but we're going to make the numbers as easy as I can make them. So you sell 1 million copies, and of that 1 million copies, you have, let's say, 200,000 that play the single player campaign. They dabble in it. So you got 200,000 that are going to play the single player campaign out of that 1 million. Now, of that 200,000, you only have maybe 50,000 that only play the single-player campaign. That's all they play. They don't play any of the online stuff. They only play the single-player campaign. So you take that small number, that 50,000 of people that only play the game for the single-player campaign, and let's say they sell 5 million copies. That's 250,000 less copies that they're going to sell. Now, they may get a little bit of backlash because people say, well, I'm not going to buy your $60 game if there's no single player campaign. I don't care if I do want to play the multiplayer. So let's say the backlash results in double those numbers. They're going to lose 500,000 people. Now, of that 500,000 people that they might lose, let's say they only sell 4.5 million copies instead of the 5 million copies. The money that they will have saved from not creating the single player campaign will probably trump that. In fact, they probably stand to make money because the single player campaign requires voice actors, it requires writers, it requires creating a story, it requires a lot more, it requires building the set pieces, it requires building cutscenes, there is a lot of work that goes into a single player campaign. Even if it's only a 6 to 8 hour single player campaign, there is a lot of work that goes into it, and they spend millions. So let's say 500,000 people decide to not buy the game. Activision probably still comes out ahead. Activision probably sits there and goes, we save money. The people that wanted to play the online multiplayer still bought the game. The people that only played it for the single player mode bailed. And we didn't lose any money. In fact, we made money. That's how Activision may be looking at this. Activision and Treyarch may be going, we can spend more time making the multiplayer better, still spend less money than we normally would have, and still make money on the other side of this. So to get rid of the single player campaign probably makes Activision money. Now you're sitting there going, well, I don't care if Activision makes money. You better. If Activision don't make money doing this, they're going to stop making games. There's no reason. They're not making games for charity, people. They're not making them just to give them to us for free. These people that make games make them to make money. The passion projects now are those little indie titles. Those are the people making them for passion, but even they want to make money doing it. The real passion projects are games that you find that people have to give away for free because they use some kind of a license thing, and they're not allowed to use the license or sell the license, but they can give it away as a free ROM or something, a free download. Those are real passion projects. Somebody just wanted to make the game. But what we have to understand is these companies have to make money. And they've got to find a way to cut corners to make money because they have to create shareholder value. If you don't know what shareholder value is, if I buy the stock at $15, I expect the stock to go up. I expect it to go up to 20. I expect it to go up to 25. I expect it to go up. I don't expect my stock to go down. I don't ever expect my stock to go down. I expect you as the company to do your part to make sure that my stock does not devalue under what I paid for it initially. If I bought it for 15, it better not go down to 13 because that means I lost money. So these companies have to keep the shareholders happy. That's what's driving their business anymore than anything else. The shareholders. If the shareholders go away, the companies go under. So it's a tough thing. It's the economics of it that really, if you've ever heard, some of these video game companies, it's like, well, they're not going to release the game until the end of the fourth quarter. Well, basically, if they're releasing, or after the fourth quarter, if they're basically releasing the game in the first quarter, it's because they want to show their shareholders, look at this strong game that we're going to build on for the whole year. So it gives the shareholders hope that it's like, oh, the stock could go up because their really big time game is going to come out at this time and it's going to make us money. So we'll stick around and wait for that money to come in. Now, if they release it at the end of a fiscal year, if they release the game at the end of the fiscal year, it's because the year may not have been as good and they want to show that that they had a strong finish to the year. And look at how bright the future is next year because we finished strong at the end of the year when this game came out. That shows you what we're capable of. Your stock was kind of going down a little bit, but then all of a sudden, boom, you rocketed up because we released this game and it did really well. So any more video games, a lot of times if I predict when a video game is going to come out, it has a lot to do with how the company, how the company really believes they can create the shareholder value for for the people who have invested in them. Now, what's the options? Video games are extremely expensive to make, and we have to understand that as the consumer. So when we see things like microtransactions, when we see them cutting things out of games that normally would have been in them, it's because they're expensive, and they're trying to create shareholder value. Now, I'm not positive that Activision is a publicly traded company, but I'm almost sure that it is. It's pretty gigantic, and I don't think it's a privately owned company. I think Activision's been publicly traded for a long time. In fact, if we really wanted to look at it, we could probably look up their stock price right now. But so these companies need to continue to make money. So how can they make money without, pissing us off? Which is really the real, question at this point. Let me see if I can find Activision. There we go. In fact, Activision Blizzard stock is $70. $70 is Activision stock. Now, if we want, let's look at EA. Let's look at Electronic Arts. EA stock, $131 a share. I'll put that in a little bit of context for you. The company I work for is a very big retailer, very big. And their stock is right now around 180. They're a gigantic retailer. They make over $100 billion a year. So they make a ton of money. And EA and Activision, one is at $70 a share and the other one is at $130 a share. These are gigantic companies that have to make money to create shareholder value, to keep people investing in them. Now, EA, probably 131, is probably way down because of the Battlefront 2 debacle they had, months ago. So what can we do to stem the tide? What can we do to maybe get rid of microtransactions? What can we do to bring things like that back into, like the single-player campaign back in, but Activision would still be able to make money? Charge more for the game. These are some things that you might have to do. We may have to start charging more for games, not just the standard $60. Like I said, I had a video where I did. We're paying the same for video games as we did in 1995. That's 23 years and video games are still $60. That's not normal. It's just not normal for something to stay the same price. So while video games have become more expensive to make, we're not allowing them to charge more. Here's the thing, in the social media network that we work in, let's say the major video game companies all get together and they say, we're going to do a price hike on games. We're going to get rid of microtransactions. We're going to put all the content in the games that used to be in the games. We're going to get rid of all your microtransactions. But unfortunately, that means video game pricing is going to be a little bit more unpredictable. We can charge anywhere from $60 on up. 60 on up. So a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 could end up costing $120 just because of all the content they're going to put into it. Would you be willing to pay $120 for Red Dead Redemption 2? Maybe if the single player campaign was put back in Call of Duty, would you pay $70 for Call of Duty Black Ops 4? If you were going to get your single player campaign, would you pay $70? But that means everybody pays $70. Not just the person who wants the single player campaign. Everybody's got to pay the $70 to make the money back. If they're going to put a single player campaign into the game, maybe what Activision Blizzard has to look at is, do we charge maybe $60 for people that just want a single player campaign and then $60 for people that want the online component? Is there a happy medium there? What would you do if all of a sudden video games company just said $60 is out the window? If you don't want microtransactions, if you want all the content at once and you don't want to pay for DLC and you don't want to pay for things of that nature, then we have to charge more to make more money so that we can continue to make games and still create shareholder value. Now, they also have to be honest about it. We can't let video game companies just go nuts and start charging $200 for a video game because they're going to price themselves out of the market. Very few people are going to pay that price. But at what point do you look at a video game and say, that's too much, I can't pay that price? Video game companies are stumbling on that probably right now as we speak. That's why the $60 base game with microtransactions is kind of where they've found their happy medium. They'll still cut things here and there from a game now, like Activision Blizzard is doing with, Black Ops 4. But you kind of have to understand, these companies have to make money. And we know how social media works. If all the major video game companies came out tomorrow and said, starting in 2019, all video games will be $80 a piece. That is going to be the standard price going forward. $80. How many of you are still willing to pay $80? Now me, I'll pay $80 for a game that I really, really want. But now, on a marginal game where I might have paid $60 for it, I may wait till it goes on sale. Problem is, when it goes on sale, it may be for $60. So, what do you think? Is there a solution? Is there something out there where if maybe people pay full price for a game when it comes out to maximize their dollar, maybe they need to do some kind of an incentive? If you don't wait for games to go on sale and you buy our games at full price, you get a few little extra bonuses that people that buy the game on sale won't. There's got to be something that these video game companies could do. Maybe they're just not getting creative enough. I'm sure there are people a lot smarter than me that are coming up with ideas, and maybe it's shareholders that are shooting them down. Maybe it's boardrooms that are shooting them down. I don't know. But if you're going to ever do a price hike in video games, you're going to have a lot of heavy hitters on board. You have to have Nintendo on board. You have to have Microsoft on board. You have to have Sony on board, EA, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Activision Blizzard, the big dogs, Capcom, people like that. They got to be on board, and they all got to be together on this. Because if, let's say, Electronic Arts says all of our games are going to be $80 and everybody else says we're only going to do $60, we don't hate you fans. We're still going to do just $60. EA's going to get blasted. Even if Nintendo came out and said we're going to do $80 and everybody else says no, we're still doing $60. We're not going to charge you $80 for our games. Nintendo would get blasted. Now, Nintendo's a little bit more cuddly for some reason. I don't know why people think Nintendo is not a giant corporation and somehow they're cuddly and cute. It's like their mascots are, but Nintendo is a vicious corporation. Don't kid yourselves. They are not cute and cuddly. They are money-making machines, people. And they have cut some corners, and they have done some pretty sketchy things in their day to make money. So they've also done a lot of things right. Obviously, the Switch is very right. They're doing really good with that thing. But they've made some questionable decisions on behalf of the fans, and it hasn't bit them yet. For some reason, people just don't believe the company is a big corporation. They are a big corporation. They have shareholders as well. Nintendo stock is a thing. You can buy Nintendo stock. So, does anybody really know what to do about this? Are you going to buy Call of Duty without the single-player campaign? My guess is most people are going to buy it. Most people, if they sell 5 million units, they're probably going to sell 4.5 million. But my guess is Activision or Treyarch have already done all the research, and they found out how much it costs to make the single-player campaign versus how many people they could potentially lose. And my guess is they've even went further. They probably estimated that they could lose 30% of their audience and still make money. That's my guess. Because you better have somebody in your company that's willing to do worst case scenario stuff. And worst case scenario, I don't think they're going to lose half their fan base, but I think they could lose a big chunk. I think they're going to lose a fourth of it. I think they're going to lose 25% of their business. Because the people that only play the single player campaign are, of course, going to be out because there is no single player campaign. And then there's going to be other people that like to play the single player campaign but like the multiplayer, but they're going to be pissed that they have to pay $60 for a multiplayer only game. And then there are going to be other people that just sit there and go, I'm done with Call of Duty. I was done with it last year, but I bought it anyway. This year's just told me I'm done with the greedy company and I'm not going to buy this one. So that's kind of where I sit on this. I have a little bit more and maybe a couple more ideas I could put forward to, maybe get rid of loot boxes and things like that and get rid of, but that's for another video. This one's already a little bit long. So tell me your thoughts. I mean, do you think that video game companies should keep all their games at $60? If you had to pay more for a video game but didn't have to do microtransactions and no DLC and you got everything included, would you do it? Would you pay more so that you don't have to, nickel and dime? Or are you fine with a bare bones game for $60 and then elect later whether to buy more stuff? Let me know down in the comments. I'll be down there. So with all that being said, to the troops, past, present, and future, thanks for the freedom.